Welcome to Modern Art Blitz. I'm your host, Matt Gleason. My guest, well, I'd like to say he's a legend in Los Angeles. Mike Vegas, even though you're named after a different city. Hey, so Mike, you come from Sin City itself, yeah?
Indeed.
And so why LA?
Oh, well, you know, I mean, growing up in Vegas, there's no art scene. At least there wasn't when I was there. So it was either go to LA or New York. So when I got out of school, it's like, all right, gonna make it as an artist, gotta go to LA.
Because it's a lot warmer than New York, right? You may not make it as big in LA, but you'll be a lot more comfortable, and it's a quality of life issue. So now, you do a variety of work. I've seen you work in different series. Do you work in series, or do you work on individual pieces and evolve one piece at a time?
The latter. I work on whatever I'm interested in at the time, and I go back to a lot of work over time.
So you can have a painting from 3 years ago and say, time to add to that now.
Yes, yes. Although I do find that I do better when I get smaller works done in a short amount of time.
Yep.
In other words, you know, if I get a drawing done in a day, that's good.
And it's done.
Yeah.
And you never go back to a work that you sold in somebody's house and say, wait, I got to fix it up here. No, none of that.
We've all wanted to do that, but no.
So we're looking at behind us here. What are we looking at?
Okay, so the new work are made from paper stencils. So this was a drawing I did like 20 years ago that I made a 4 foot by 3 foot stencil out of. And I've always been interested in overlapping patterns and what happens when patterns overlap. This one is called Flowers for Dead Rock Stars.
Which dead rock stars in particular?
It came out, I did this painting right around the time Bowie died. And I was just thinking about that.
It was definitely on your mind.
There we go. But part of why I started using stencils is because I do drawings, and you know, I'd do a good drawing and then I would want to paint it, but what happens is you lose the drawing. So by making a stencil, I have a drawing that I can use over and over again. Now,
is there red, white, and blue in this Flowers for Dead Rock Stars?
Well, it's sort of.
Do you have to put the stencil down 3 times? How do you do it?
Well, I mean, as many times as I want.
Yeah.
So I mean, a lot of the work,
hey,
it's over and over and over again.
Don't give out any secrets, okay? You're not. The Modern Art Blitz is not obligated. You're not obligated to give the secret, so every artist in town can go, aha! I'm going to copy that. Okay. So well, let's move on. I want to see some more art here. Okay. This is this a stencil too?
This is, and this is something that I worked on for months and months. So I did 1 layer of stenciling and then went back and did, you know, was like, oh, it's good, but it's not great. I kept adding and adding, and then at a certain point I lost it, and then I came back with a white, and then I came back with a black, and then boom, it worked. But there's got to be 12 different layers of paint on there.
How big is this piece?
4 feet by 4 feet.
4 feet by 4 feet? Oh, yeah. So on canvas?
It's actually painted on that silver insulation material.
Oh, really? So you're not afraid of industrial materials?
I love working with found materials. Anything that I find in the street, and I did a show a couple years ago.
Except a body.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I like distressed materials that have a personality already. I mean, Joe was talking about that earlier, finding a piece of wood that already had some stuff on it. And it's always stuff that you would never think about doing to something. It's like, wow, you know, look at this scratched thing or whatever, and then, you know, you can put something over it.
And where, like, I'm trying to think of, like, did you start in the center here and move a small stencil? Is that?
The original stencil was 18 by 24.
Oh.
So it's probably 12 to cover the whole thing.
Oh, wow.
And then, like I said, there's at least 10 layers of paint on there.
And a couple overlaps.
There's lots of overlaps going on.
Very sensuous, though, and yet kind of almost a scientific, like, disregard for, like, needing to gussy anything up there, right? It's where the paint lands.
Yeah, I mean, because when you're using a stencil, you're using something that's kind of perfect. So I always liked messing stuff up a little bit.
Great. Well, let's go on. you've got a variety, and I know. Now this involves pornography.
Indeed.
Dear. He's fallen from Sin City to sinning. So this is a collage over some kind of, what kind of picture is that? Miss February, maybe?
This was 2 pages taken from a porn mag. Club? I don't know.
Club?
I don't know what it was.
Lifetime subscriber?
We have our favorites. But I'm combining pure abstraction with pure figuration.
Okay.
And your brain kind of has to decide. Does it want to look at the pattern, or does it want to go through that pattern and try to see the figure? And for me, pornography and the way I've approached it is very cubist. I mean, you've got a nude figure that's being seen in a bunch of different angles. By cutting out all of these patterns, it's sort of forcing your eye to look at it in a way that you normally wouldn't.
And in public too.
Yeah.
But it's funny because for kids these days, young adults, over 18, of course, they've never had a porn magazine. It's all online, right?
I know,
So
it's so weird. Where do you get your classic porn?
So I do have to bring up at this point, Mike, you're probably the last of the legendary clean-shaven men in Los Angeles, in the Los Angeles art scene, and you've fallen for the beard trend. How long have you had the beard, Mike?
2 months.
2 months. That's 2 months? Wow. That's pretty good. You got a pretty thick beard. You never had a beard before?
I had one for about a month in 2008.
Oh, really? Just tried it out. It wasn't trendy then. Now it's like mainstream.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. You know what happened is I got sick, and I didn't do anything for like 3 weeks, and I just let it grow.
You had the flu?
Yeah.
Ugh, it's the worst. Okay.
So.
Don't cough on me, kid. Okay.
So well, I don't have it anymore, but that was the beginning of the beard.
Let's see some more Mike Vegas. When did you become Mike Vegas, by the way?
When I moved to LA, because my real last name is Dommermuth.
Yeah.
And
nobody can spell it. Nobody can pronounce it.
Exactly. So I started working for an art moving company that already had 3 Mikes: Santa Barbara Mike, Mike Houston, some Mike who got to keep his real last name, and then I became Mike Vegas.
Yeah.
And then nobody remembered my real name. And Vegas is very easy to remember. So.
And what happens there stays there. Hey, so let's see if did you bring any more art?
There should be a couple more on there.
There's a couple more. Is this another stencil painting?
This is.
How big is this?
Similarly, maybe 36 by 48.
Nice.
Maybe a little bit bigger than
This
that.
is a little more elegant than the first one, right? Are you trying for something different here?
I just go until they look good.
Okay.
So, if it doesn't look good after 2 layers, you just keep adding and adding until you either get something or you lose something.
Wow. I know we have a photo in here of one of your sculptures. Is that next in? Is that the next in the queue? Is the sculpture there? Oh, wow. This is giant, by the way.
30 feet by 8 feet.
Wow. Payday. What brought this on?
Okay, well, having grown up in Vegas, my earliest memories and the things I loved the most growing up were seeing the Vegas signs. I mean, when we first moved to Vegas, my dad would put us in the car and we'd drive through downtown and just be surrounded by these multicolored,
of course,
sculptures.
That's the landscape.
So I think that a lot of my art kind of goes back to that, trying to recreate that. And when I think of the stencils and doing double and triple patterns, it's very much like the neon. But in 2013, my father died, and he had owned a casino, and I was thinking about the whole Vegas sign thing, and kind of wanted to do sort of a tribute. So, Payday is this 30-foot wooden sign, and part of it was that it was at a show at a West LA college where they gave me a wall that was 60 feet and curved. It's like, what are you going to do with this?
What are you going to do with a curve?
Exactly.
Besides
so
skateboard on it.
Giant sculpture. So I'd always wanted to recreate a Vegas sign, but I also wanted to think about it in terms of being broken. And I liked the idea of payday. I mean, everybody wants a payday. But then the idea that it's this broken sign. So is it a payday? Is it not a payday?
Wow. Well, Mike Vegas, thank you for joining us on Modern Art Blitz. We have 6 minutes for one more song. Oh, What year was this?
This is from 3 years ago. This is one of my drawings of sporting events. So
Wow.
I was watching a soccer game on television. I do these quick little pencil drawings, and then I work on them and do the shading. And the imagery is derived from watching a game and sort of following where the ball goes.
Wow, wow, wow. What was this, soccer?
It was from the European Cup a few years ago.
Yeah, so were you happy Germany won?
Germany won the World Cup. They did not win the European Cup, but nobody cares about.
Nobody cares about the European Cup.
We do, but we care more
You
about
won
the
the damn
World
World
Cup.
Cup and you're getting all tech. Hey, okay, fine. Hey, thanks for being on Modern Art Blitz.